we do different themes in our workshops. We do our network wellness workshops where we go over things about network care. And we also do our Living Well workshops where we go over aspects of increasing your wellness and your well-being and your lifestyle. And so this is one of those. And this is actually one of my favorite ones, and the practice members that attend it always really get a lot out of it, because it's really about how to develop your own personal wellness goals and your own personal objectives as you go into the next year. And there's some key things about that. I'll also mention this. In terms of workshops in general, we do these because we don't want to just be a center for healing where people have things that is done to them or done with them, but a center for education. So really encourage you to participate, so much so that we do basically that when people attend 5 workshops during the course of the year, they get 5% off their care, because I really feel like I want to take care of the people that are, really committed to their care and their growth and their healing, and so I reward people in that way. So remember that. Also, all of our workshops, you're always welcome to bring guests. It has a huge impact for you, in terms of helping others and your family being supportive of your care. So first big concept with this, developing your personal wellness plan. You can also think of this as $1 million health habits, okay, in terms of yourself. And you'll see why in a moment. Favorite quote for this, it's often attributed to Mickey Mantle, but it's actually originally a quote from U.B. Blake, who was a ragtime composer, which is, if I knew I was going to live this long, then I'd have taken better care of myself. Okay? If I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. If you knew that you were going to live to 100 years old, how would you take care of yourself?
I have a friend who still goes the opposite, 105.
There you go. And here's the aspect of this that's important, which is that we generally are living so much longer, but with the habits of people that used to live a lot shorter. And then we look at our examples of people in our family, our parents, and we see their lack of faculties or lack of health or lack of well-being. I know I've seen this in my family at a certain age range. And we get this picture of that's what that time of your life is like. And it need not be that way at all. You have an incredible amount of control in that area. Healthy people make healthy choices, and healthy choices create healthy people. So you want to take that standpoint in terms of your health and well-being, and we're going to talk about ways to do that. And a lot of this concept is from a powerful book called Setting Things Straight by Dr. John Madeira. His last chapter in the book is about developing your wellness plan and how you do that. Because we're all in different places in terms of our journey, in terms of our health and our well-being. So I'm going to teach this in such a way to empower you to assess where am I at and where do I need to be in this coming year. Because here's what happens. And I really like doing this workshop before we get to the new year. Because the new year develops something called this famous list of resolutions. And resolutions are kind of like this list of wishes. It's like we wish these things will happen, and about 6 weeks later, those are gone. Okay? So I like encouraging people to do this before you're in that resolution phase, because you're setting, well, what do I really want things to look like? What are my goals? And assessing where has my health and life been, okay? And, each person, as we do this, you're going to make your own program to basically suit your own lifestyle, all right? And it really is not a wish list. It's kind of a decision list. It's an objective list. It's a process list, okay, of where I want to be. Things that you're going to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis that will contribute for you to get from where you are to where you're going to get. And it's also, health has often been thought of as a state, and disease is a state, okay? You're sick or you're not, you're healthy or you're not. That really isn't the case. Health as well as disease are really much more a process, both of them. Disease is part of a downwards process. Health is an upwards process. So you can be on this spectrum, okay, of illness or wellness Okay? All right? And all of you, if you take some time to self-reflect and more honest with yourself, can very easily say where you are on this scale. Okay? And which direction you're facing. Are you going more this way, or are you going more this way? Are you over here, but you're going here? Or are you here, but you're going that way? All right? It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with the choices you make and the direction you face day in and day out. So you want to think of wellness again, lifestyle. Health is a lifestyle, a process. It's not a state. It's not if I have a condition or I don't, or I have a disease or I don't. Okay? Pregnancy is a state. Health is not. Okay? You're pregnant or you're not. Health is not like that. It's a different thing, different physiological experience. Okay? So people that take their health seriously tend to take the bigger picture view of their life at all times. Okay? They tend to ask themselves what consequences there'll be with certain actions. And so whether a person is a cancer survivor, or they've had a heart attack, or they're a healthy 20-something that wants to stay that way, or they're a senior citizen that's has a lot of health challenges, doesn't matter, or they're middle-aged and they want to be experienced. Everybody's have a different wellness plan, but it's up to you for what you want, okay? Now, another big concept with this is you have to think of your health or your health process like a bank account, okay? Or like something that you invest in. Now, there's costs and then there's investments. So a cost is something that you spend but there's no return. An investment is something that you put money into but there's a return somewhere along the way. All right? And your health and the things you do for your health are that. Usually disease is a cost. It's not an investment. All right? So every time you think of making a healthy decision, and that healthy decision could be buying the organic bananas instead of the conventional bananas. All right? And it's 25 cents more a bunch.
10 cents.
Whatever it is. It's actually what it is. Today? Okay.
57 cents, 67 cents.
You want to think of that
That's
as
a pound
this
on a
is
bunch.
an investment. That's not a cost. That is an investment, that 10 cents, okay, into your health bank account that you are going to reap the rewards of later on. Very important consciousness shift. And here's another aspect of that, which is this. I do a lot of health lectures at different corporations for for employees in terms of helping them have healthier employees. This is exactly this concept. I was doing a lecture and I asked, it's a question I asked once in a while. I said, people raise your hand. This is in Boulder, corporation. Raise your hand if you just take a multivitamin. I don't care what kind, but you do that, all right? And a very small percentage of the room raise their hands. Much smaller than usual for Boulder. Usually Boulder, 70 or 80% take some multivitamin of the room, roughly. This was like 10 or 20%. I was kind of surprised. And one of the people said, that's way too expensive. It's way too expensive to take a multivitamin. Now, no intention of getting a conversation about the validity of different brands. But sincerely, if you were to go to Safeway or Sunflower and go get a multivitamin, how much, regardless of how good or bad they are, how much would it probably cost you? So yeah, run-of-the-mill multivitamin for a month's supply.
$30.
Something like that.
They have them at the dollar store.
Yeah, you can get cruddy ones for $10. Okay, hold on. But something $30 or so for a month's supply. And here's what I said to this person, because she said, "Well, that's just way too expensive. I can't spend that kind of money." Remember, cost versus investment. Okay, cost versus investment. Rochelle's grandfather raised, I think it was 6 kids, like 20 grandkids, worked his whole life in a steel mill, foreman in a steel mill, like he was like the hero of the town. A couple years after he retired, 2-3 years, started losing all his functions, lost them all really quickly, and spent his last couple of years shortly after he retired, worked his whole life and did all that in a nursing home with no faculties, costing $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and that's a cost. That's not an investment. Okay, so that's expensive. The $30 a month or whatever it is for a multivitamin or all the different things, or a massage, or all the different things that you can do, or a gym membership, those are investments you are putting in your bank account that you are going to reap the rewards of later. So you have to have that kind of outlook for your health and well-being. What did you want to ask me, Lee?
Organic.
Yes.
I was watching Dr. Oz saying that if it's skins, if it has thick skin, you peel. It's not as important to have organic. Is that true?
I'll answer that in a second. And what did you want to ask?
My question is, what percentage of pill vitamins are absorbable?
Very low.
And
I don't have an actual number in my head.
But what I'm saying is, if
low.
you're taking it and half of it's going out your system, how much benefit are you really getting?
Right, and you have to research those for different ones. So I wasn't saying that Whole Foods or Costco has the best brand, but I'm saying you do need to supplement. I'll tell you flat out right now, in terms of our current environment, no one in this room, it's next to impossible to get the nutrients you need from your food. For example, you need to have 8 oranges to have the nutrients of 1 orange in the 40s because of just soil erosion. Most of you aren't eating 8 oranges a day. Okay? You have to have 9 to 12 servings of organic fruits and vegetables. Most of the times when I ask people that if they do 2 or 3, they're lucky. Even in Boulder, Colorado. Okay? People just don't get enough nutrients. Organic is vital. You have much higher level of nutrients in organic. That is a very good rule of thumb. Because if you have to think of what you're spending money on, a very good rule of thumb is if the fruit or vegetable has its natural shell, it has a natural protectant. Strawberries don't have a natural protected shell. So those are more important if you're going to prioritize your expenditures, yes. You want to do organic as much as possible. But again, this workshop isn't about particularly individual strategies. It's a conceptual model of how to make your choices. All right. You got to think of every one of those things as a positive action step towards taking care of yourself. Whether it be chiropractic visits, vitamins, taking a walk, eliminating artificial sweeteners, and all of you have different things that are targets for you. Okay. One of you, it might be a priority to have organic food. One of you, others of you might be just like, well, I've got to get some fruit and vegetables in my diet because I don't eat vegetables, period. And you've got to make that change. So you're on a different place on that spectrum, and there's no judgment on that. But as you age, having a lifetime of deposits to draw from when you're older is significant, not just for retirement and finances, but also for your health and well-being. Okay? So even if you develop a disease or health problem, the likelihood of it being costly is much lower when there's more reserves in your health bank account. Okay? There's more of, yes, I got cancer, but I recovered. Or I had heart disease, but I recovered. When you have lots of reserves in your health bank account. Or I got in a major accident, but my body was resilient. Okay, because your healing capacities increase. So also think about it this way. All right? If you had $1 million racehorse, you owned $1 million racehorse, what would you feed it? What kind of oats would you feed it?
GMO.
The best on the market. All right? Would you leave it in the stall or would you exercise it? You're going to make sure you exercise it. Frequently, you're probably going to get it a trainer, most likely, Okay? Would you make sure its stall was kept clean? Right? Would you make sure it got plenty of rest and that it got out in the sunshine? You're going to do those things for that. Go to an inanimate object, a car. You get a super expensive, beautiful, nice car, okay? Maybe you always had a beat-up-all Ford, but now, I don't know, you have a BMW sports car. You're probably going to do things to it to keep it functioning right, okay? You might wash it more, you might, etc. $1 million racehorse, realize it's not just any old horse. It's a $1 million racehorse. You're not going to give it potato chips. You're not going to put French fries in its trough, most likely. You're not going to give it soda, okay? You're going to, because it's $1 million, you want it to win races. Here's the thing. Your human life value and what you're going to produce during the course of your life is much more than $1 million. Much more. You are that $1 million racehorse. So you have to do things to take care of yourself during the course of your life. Just like you would for an inanimate object like a car, okay, or $1 million racehorse, okay, because that's the newsflash that you are. And typically people, don't do that, and if you wouldn't do that for those situations, why would you do it for yourself? You have to take care of yourself. Things that you wouldn't give your kids that you're eating, that's a problem. All right, same kind of thinking. Okay, if you wouldn't do it for your kids, or like you won't eat that, but yeah, the kids can have ice cream. We got to think about that too. What habits are you creating with them? I'm not going to have an ice cream and cake, but you guys can eat it up. There's a challenge there. All right, you got to teach them that they're $1 million racehorse too. All right, so typically, when people in our society get older, we have this image that they get feeble, or they get sick, or they develop diseases. One of the most powerful exercises I ever witnessed or saw, was involved with, was I was at an Anthony Robbins program, and he was talking about the vision that you have for yourself and your health. And so he had people close their eyes and visualize what a 90-something-year-old man looks like. So you kind of have this image in your head of what a 90-year-old male would look like. And then when you had their eyes closed, simple thing, he had someone come out on the stage with their shirt off that was 90, and they had like a physique of a very fit 30-year-old. And he said, was this your image? And no one did. So, and it's like, well, then what you have as your image is what you're going to be creating. So you want to think about what your image was, even when I just said that now. All right? And maybe you need to get a picture of something else and stick it on your fridge or whatever. Okay? So, and have a different aspect of that. And, things like, for example, chiropractic patients, people ask me all the time, well, is this something that I have to do? Is this, why do I have to do this and other people don't have to do that? You don't have to get adjusted. You don't have to eat organic. And you don't have to exercise. And you don't have to stop drinking soda. And you don't have to brush your teeth. You don't have to do any of those things. It is a good idea to do those things if you want to keep yourself at your best. Very simply. All right? And for example, people that have chiropractic care, is using that as an example, they spend 30%, people that have had chiropractic care, they're senior citizens, for 5 years or more, and on a maintenance wellness basis, senior citizens, they spend 30% of the national average, not 30% less, 30% of the total of the national average for healthcare. And they have less than half the medical doctor's visits. That tells you something.
So what you just said.
People that they did a study with it, people that were senior citizens that had chiropractic care on a maintenance basis for 5 years or more, they spend 30% of the national average on healthcare. And they spend they had 50% less medical visits. And to me, that I don't need to know anything more than that. I don't need to do another research study or thing other than that in terms of, well, this is something that helps me take care of myself. So, no secret there. I think chiropractic is a cornerstone of a person's personal wellness plan. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a chiropractor. Okay? Because a healthier spine means a healthier you. Now, next exercise we're going to do, and I hand these out. This is workshop format. 3. I'm not a good counter. 4. We got 2 rows, so you can pass these down. We call this the wheel of life. It's an exercise for you. All right? And use a pen. Oh, that's what these are. Do you guys all have pens?
We will in a minute here when you pass this around.
Okay. So, this is your personal wheel of life. I want you to look at it. Thank you, Kurt. And what you want to do is each of those spokes, the 0 is at the center, 10 is at the end of the wheel. Because health and well-being is not sick. Wellness is every quadrant, every area of your health, your life, your family, your spiritual health, your financial health, your mental health, all of those areas. So what you want to do is look at this wheel, and on each of those spokes, rate yourself 0 to 10 for your experience of your life now. 10, yeah, 0 to 100, but 0 to 10, it's the same thing. It's just a multiplier of 10, right? Okay. So, so emotional health. Where would you say your experience this year has been? Just make a little hatch mark on it. Okay? Financial health, 0 to 10. Family, put a little hatch mark. Just physically put a hatch mark of where it is. I'm sorry, let me do it this way. I meant to do it here. This is the wheel. Okay, there's the center. Hatch mark goes here.
Which spoke goes with which?
Just pick, it doesn't matter. As long as you know which one it is. So if this one's a 10, you're out here. If this one's a 2, you're here. Just take a moment and be honest with yourself. Think of your last year. Career, family.
Overall or the progress?
Where you are right
Where do
now.
you think you are now?
Where you are right now. Like the illness wellness thing that I said. And remember that your quality of life is the sum total of this whole picture. Health is not merely the absence of disease. It's the sum total of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Now, after you've rated yourself, the next step is to connect the dots or the hatch marks. And remember, this is you being honest with yourself. It's not for me. This is just for you to take on. Okay. So, if your thing spokes like this, and it's like this, okay? And that was a bicycle wheel. How are you going to get around? Okay? How well are you going to go on the journey for your life? Yeah, a little bumpy. So now you have, right in your hand, 6 life-changing areas to strive for. To target that you want to increase all of them for the velocity of your ride, because you're not going too fast when you're like this, right? And for how much you enjoy it. Not just the velocity, obviously, but how much you enjoy it. Very good analogy for this in terms of that investments in your bank account to draw from later. People in this room see that movie Titanic?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the movie Titanic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you didn't, I'm sorry if I'm running the end for you, but the ship does go down.
Whether you saw the movie or not, you know the ship went down. The movie has
Okay.
nothing to do with the ship.
However, there's an interesting that happened at the end, right? Interesting thing that happened at the end where there were people in the water and the lifeboats were away, and then lifeboats came back, and there were people in the water that survived, and there were people in the water that did not make it. In other words, there were people that were able to adapt to that stress, and there are people that didn't. Think of this. There's this line. There's certain stresses that you can overcome, and there's certain that you don't. So, like, forget about this circle being here. We just got this. So, different things like you have a fight with your spouse, it's probably not going to kill you, okay? If you, not that day. You get into a small fender bender, you have a bicycle fall, these kinds of things. You can probably adapt to those things. Bullet to your head? Probably not. It's going to go, you're not going to adapt to that.
Depends on where your head.
Depends on where your head. But
Gifford's
the likelihood
okay,
is,
Gifford.
the likelihood compared to a fight with your spouse, what do you think? The likelihood, all right?
You're gonna come out unscathed, let's put it that way.
All right? However, what happens is the more of these things happen to you, the more this line of adaptability goes down to this level. If you don't have reserves in your health bank account, the difference between the people that were able to survive in the water and those that don't really comes down to an abstract area to their adaptability. Some had greater levels of adaptability than others.
Or their strength.
They have adaptability. That strength is part of adaptability. You're talking a broad sweeping thing, Dorothy. You know, it's the level of adaptability your body has. So you want to keep that adaptability high. Those are the reserves in your bank account. Okay? So next handout. These are keys to writing your own wellness plan. I'll pass these out. So the desire to be an overnight success, desires not to be, did I miss one?
Yeah.
Okay, desires not to be an overnight success, but successful habits that last a lifetime. So you're not looking to be an overnight success. That's a resolution, right? I'm going to be an overnight success. Okay? But habits that create a lifetime. All right? Every sample that we're going to give out is a spiritual and family selection. You got to think, how much do you have in your account? That's what we just did with the wheel. And, you know, Wellness Mind is a lifestyle with great rewards, all right, along the way. It's like building up points on your frequent flyer account, all right? You want to take your health seriously every day. And I have many, many cases of practice members that develop cancer, stroke, heart disease, you know, auto accidents. I had serious fall and I recover quickly. You want to think of it that way. Saving early in your 20s helps you better with retirement later. Same thing with your health. What you do today has a drastic effect on you tomorrow, and your health has compound interest just like finances. All right, we have to go sometime. You know, this is one of the things that happens with this. When I talk to people about this, there's always someone that says, "I do all this and then I get hit by a car." You know, look, we all have to go sometimes. That doesn't mean that you live recklessly.
But your time between now and then is better too.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I do all this and then, and someone else was able to smoke all their life and did. But if you took a pool of 1,000 smokers and 1,000 non-smokers, yes, it's going to be different. And there's going to be one standout in each area, okay? And rather than when you get old and sick, you get sicker and sicker and snowballs, you have the compound interest in reverse when you're at, okay? So my motto I like to remind myself is that you want to leave the world healthy, okay? So it's like you live well and you die well. You want to live healthy and you want to die healthy, okay? Rather than dying sick and feeble, all right?
Repeat what you said, die healthy.
Die healthy, yeah. You want to die healthy. I don't want to die the way Rochelle's grandfather did. I want to die that I was vibrantly healthy till the last minute, not this candle that flickered, for a really long time. Right? So that's that reserves. Live well, die well. Okay? So, next handout. Pass these around. Simple personal wellness plans. All right, so we're going to talk about these. Hopefully I gave out enough. Now I got more. Simple personal wellness plans. All right, and again, this is that to be different for people. These are just hypothetical. So, for example, a 20-year-old single mom. She might get her spine adjusted twice a month. She might take a daily multivitamin and omegas for her health. She has Pilates class at a gym twice a week. One time a month, she has a monthly massage. She goes to the movies as part of her relaxation plan for her health. She doesn't relax enough. She knows she has to make sure she relaxes to take care of herself. She goes out dancing twice a month. She's got to get off drinking diet soda. She switches to stevia soda and limits it to 1 can per day. She avoids medication. No French fries or ice cream. She attends a Unity Church service as part of her spiritual aspect of taking care of herself. Exercise, she's real busy. She takes the stairs at work instead of the elevator. All right? Simple things, but habits that all are deposits in a person's wellness bank account. 37-year-old husband and father. It's going to look completely different. Visits the chiropractor weekly.
Is it farther?
Farther. Oh, yeah.
Here's a farther father.
One thing you'll learn, if you haven't learned yet, everything I do has typos. Everything I put out. My staff knows that very well.
Spell check.
I don't have time to type.
Farther's a word, though. It wouldn't show up on
Yeah.
spell.
That's right.
But yeah, everything I do has typos. My staff learns that very quickly. It's very entertaining for them. Visit the chiropractor weekly. Now, for 37-year-old dad, it's going to need more chiropractic care than 29-year-old woman, most likely. Visit the chiropractor weekly. Nutritional supplements daily. Joint care supplements are going to be crucial for this person. Testosterone, HGH cream, because those things are going to be changing in their body. Sleep is usually a male in that age range starts to lose sleep, starts to have more worry in their life. They have to protect their amount of hours of sleep. Exercise is going to be looking different. 30 minutes of cardio interval 3 times a week. Okay, interval training. They'll rotate different activities for variety. 20 minutes of weightlifting 3 times weekly. Avoid medication and medical doctors. Spend Friday as family night. They might have to really make sure they book out that there's a family time here. I have a friend that what he does, I think it's humorous, but I think it's great. He says Tuesdays are Taco Tuesdays. Doesn't matter what happens. Tuesdays, they have a taco bar with the kids. No phones, no TV. It's Taco Tuesdays. That's what they do. No matter what else is going on, it's family Taco Tuesday. I don't know. It works for them. It's that family time. So they block out something like that. Okay. Listen to spiritual, motivational CDs in their car. They might be really, hustling in their life, trying to provide for their family, and that age range is when men kind of tend to do that, and might need to make sure they're fulfilling themselves, and they might have to do that to and from work in the car by listening to something. Okay. Might be having to avoid red meat because they need to keep their cholesterol down or something like that. So it's having simple things that they know that they enjoy, they reward themselves. Okay, 4-year-old grandmother. Weekly chiropractic visits, multivitamin, fish oil capsules, Regenic Care Daily, joint care supplements that are very strong, DHEA and HGH cream. Always in bed by 10. Watches Joel Osteen every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. 5 minutes of stretching upon rising. Walks 2 miles every day outdoors. Plenty of grandchild time. Is grandchild time going to be more fulfilling and bring them more joy? Okay, it's listing the things that, that will bring fulfillment to your life. Think of those spokes on that wheel. Wow, that's really a mess, isn't that? Okay. 8 cups of alkaline water a day. Hydration. Senior citizens' hydration gets so much more important. Your body absorbs alkaline water so much better that it has a higher pH. And it gives them so much more vitality. So big difference for senior citizens, especially. Weekly family dinners, making sure that they get family dinner time with their kids and their grandkids. Maybe it's a particular, like once a week I want to make sure I do that, or whatever time frame, okay? Mine and Rochelle's here. Now I'll tell you, a personal wellness plan changes. It changes frequently. You take stock yearly, quarterly. This looks completely different than mine 3 years ago, okay? And I went through a lot of health changes this particular year for the positive, because I really took self-assessment of what I had to do to change my body. So, and to be $1 million racehorse. Believe me, watch what myself and Rochelle do taking care of people. That takes a lot of physical energy and physical stamina and mental focus, tremendous amount. And then to talk afterwards, so it takes a lot of energy. So we have to take care of ourselves tremendously. Network adjustments, once to twice a week. If I miss a week, I feel awful working on people, okay? In terms of just my energy levels, my focus, mental state. Daily nutritional supplements. I take LifePak Nano. I had gone down to doing it once a day, and then I realized that my vitality went down tremendously. I had to go back to doing it twice a day, because I was self-assessing that I was thinking, I was saying I could save some money, I'll take it less. My score is really high on this, but I definitely, after a few months of that, noticed a difference in my body in terms of it showed up in cravings for different kinds of foods in a big way. So, and then that cravings always used to come to those, and this, cravings were bad caffeine and bad sugar. So once I got the better nutrients in my body, I had less cravings for those. And I have to really watch that for myself, because I have a big history of diabetes in my family and other related areas to sugar metabolism. So it's one of the things I have to make sure I have certain raw antioxidants and minerals. Vitality, which is a supplement that I do to keep my mitochondria functioning right. HGH and testosterone cream, huge difference for me. I juice 1 to 2 days a week. I didn't used to do that. I do that now. I really enjoy that. I have a Vitamix. And people know what a Vitamix is? Okay, Vitamix is a juicer, but it keeps all the fiber in. It's like a super high-powered blender. One of the bad things with most juicers is you see all the pulp that comes up, right? You need that stuff. You need that fiber. This keeps all of that in. You just put the whole fruit in. And once or twice a week, I just only have juice. I'll have carrot, apple, celery juice. I'll have a couple other different blends, and that will be all I have. I feel those days are my highest energy days. And it makes a difference for me, helping me maintain a healthy weight and get those days I'm getting 15 servings of fruits and vegetables those days, and have good energy. So actually more energy than when I don't do that. 1 or 2 days a week. Low sugar. My diet has to be very, very low sugar. That isn't the case for everybody. For me it is. And I have to make sure I have a high fiber diet. I drink only an organic, Boracia is the brand, low glycemic coffee. And it has buffered caffeine. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. And it spreads out the energy over 5 hours. Incredible, organic, non-toxic. Most coffees are extremely toxic. They have, they're acidic, and they have lots of pesticides. So this is organic, fair trade, and specifically designed to not affect your blood sugar. So that's what I drink. It makes a big difference for me. Refined sugar. I enjoy refined sugar. So I have one cheat meal a week that I have some kind of refined sugar thing, some kind of dessert. Okay? Also because what part of that, it's part of your wheel, right? Mental, emotional thing. All right, organic fruits and vegetables makes a big difference for me to make sure I have organic fruits and vegetables, especially dairy and meat, as often as possible. Sometimes you have the qualifiers, as often as possible. I like going to baseball games. I like having a hot dog at a baseball game. It's not going to be organic, I'm aware of that. But I eat organic very frequently, right? So you have to, otherwise what happens is you get too strict with your wellness plan, and what happens?
You rebel.
Yeah, you rebel against it, okay? So you want to have things like, every step of the way, when I take a step towards health, I feel successful. For every little step that I'm facing on that direction, all right? It's not like a list that you have to be restrictive about, all right? I avoid trans fats. At all costs, alkaline water, I have to have 90 ounces a day. My pH levels was 5, 6, and now my pH levels are about 9 from having alkaline water. Made a huge difference for my health and well-being. I have to weigh daily. I have to weigh myself daily in terms of maintaining my weight. Other people don't. I know some people, Rochelle, when we go through hers, she weighs herself weekly. And that works for her, doesn't work for me. If a week goes by, I could get off and not realize it. So I have to monitor myself daily. It's just my metabolism. And it works for me if I do that. I have to have a certain exercise schedule, not just for fitness, but mental, emotional clarity. Exercise does that for me. And I have to remember this motto: early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I live by that. If I throw that off, and it's like what I say when I'm like I'm thinking about staying up, that just goes off in my head. Go to sleep, and same thing with waking up in the morning. So I get up about 5 a.m. to be able to do everything I do in terms of running the office every day. You get up earlier than that sometimes.
5 a.m. is sleeping in for me.
What?
5 a.m. is sleeping in for me.
Good, now I'm not the only one. All right. Tri-core pillow, daily hour of power in the morning. I exercise. I have some kind of inspirational reading or biblical or meditation or prayer. I have a cycle of these things that I do before I look at a computer or look at anything else. Blackout family time, schedule date time each month. Rochelle and I have to block it out on a calendar and plan a babysitter weeks in advance. It's just what we have to do in terms of for our life. Weekly church service. I have to be as many kids' events as possible. That's all part of my wellness plan for my enjoyment of my life. Okay. Rochelle's personal wellness plan. Network adjustments 1 to 2 times weekly. She doesn't have to avoid sugar as much. It doesn't affect her, but she has to avoid fat. For her, she has to have a low-fat diet, the way her body is. She has. I can eat fatty foods all I want, and it doesn't affect me, but sugars do. Limit refined, and hers, she's kind of the opposite. She has to limit refined sugars and trans fats. She has something called Genovia coffee. It's what we have because it's antioxidant filled, and because caffeine really affects her badly. So it gives her headaches and stuff. But this is a very low caffeine level, and it's filled with antioxidants, so it helps her. Food journaling. I can't food journal. She food journals. She writes down what she eats. I can't do that for the life of me. There's no way. But that's her thing is food journaling helps her. Okay. Weighing in weekly, daily nutritional supplements, progesterone cream. She loves that. She can't believe how different she feels. Alkaline water, daily prayer. She does daily. She is very big on making sure she prays each day, and weekly church service. And she also daily prayers part. She likes listening to inspirational or religious things on the radio. It's helpful for her. 8 hours of sleep per night. She has to have more sleep than me. She needs 8-9 hours. If she gets less than that, it doesn't work for her. I can go on 5 or 6, but she can't. So it's like part of her is to making sure she blocks that out and block out family time. So the idea was me doing this is that it's different for everybody. I'm not trying to prescribe something to you. I'm trying to help you to look within yourself. Now I also want you to do something. Flip this over on the back. So the blank page is on the back. Okay? And we're going to write something. You've got a pen. And here's what you want to take a moment to think of. Think of the things in your life. It could be health related, it could be life experience, it could be family, it could be financial. Let's go for 3 things. 3 things that would say are the biggest source of your distress or cause most disruption in your life. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be finances, it could be work, it could be what are it could be, maybe you came up with 1, maybe you can come up 5 real quick, but let's go for 3. What are 3 things? You're not telling them or sharing them, but if I look at my life, this really distresses me. I'll give an example for me, and this is a business, not a personal example. Our staff is incredible. There's certain things that if they're not done on a certain day of the week, it really throws me off. It's like this has to be done on Tuesday. This has to be done on Thursday. If it's missed, it's not done until Friday. it messes up parts of my personal life, and then I get distressed, and they're like, well, why are you so no, it doesn't work. It has to be done on this day because it throws off our family time or things like that. So that's something that would really throw a wrench into, and it might sound odd, but running a business, that's the case. So think about your life. What are the things that, like, this is something that keeps coming up, and it's a distressful thing, or it's where most of my breakdown can be. 1, 2, 3 things. Okay. And what you want to do is then pick the top one and figure out a way to handle it, so it doesn't keep doing that to you. Sometimes that could be, don't get me wrong, I love family. It could be a family thing. It could be like, you know what, this isn't working. I need to associate with this part of my family. Or it could be friends. It could be friends that, like, when I love this person, but you know what, they're poison for my life. I can't continue that. You probably have all had those experiences, right? Or it could be something financially. You know, we're just the financial stress, expenditures, not saving enough, and that's causing lots of, well, you've got to target that as your main thing to handle, whatever it might be. Okay? So, next part of this exercise. Okay? Open this up to this page. Your personal wellness plan. Now, these are a few different spokes. All right? You could make more, but these are a few basic ones. So what you're going to do is we're just going to write stuff. You're just going to brainstorm. A couple minutes. Don't give yourself a headache over it. Breathe. This is for you taking care of the $1 million racehorse, which is you. So your structure. Your structure is your body. What are the things relative to taking care of your body, the structure of your body, that are important? I hope network chiropractic's on there. But it could be massage. It could be a Pilates class. It could be things along those lines. Things that, in terms of taking care, stretching first thing in the morning. No right or wrong answer. You know, when I feel the best about the structure of my body is when I do this. Success leaves clues. When were the things when you were successful about how you felt your body, or when you saw someone else that was?